I say good morning officially. Bring some water, some tea, keep awake. We really need a lot. We need to get ahead a lot. Okay, so people are coming. Yes, we really need to finish with the project. Remember, it has certain entries, certain sections, and we will be pointing out those sections. Okay, again, as I told you, there are people who have been who have received emails. And if you received an email, it means I need to talk to you about tasks. So please meet let's meet at 12. So people I can see here, Jasmine, Genesis, Carolina, Barbara, just Araceli, just to mention a few who are present today, right now. We need to meet, yes, to catch up with all the tasks that are behind so we can have that done, please. And we still have workshop 2, I don't forget, but we have been pushing it a little bit further so we can have this main topic around which we are going to find out the materials. Okay, and evaluations. Well, remember the grades for the tasks are pending as long as I need, as long as I don't receive your tasks or your corrections. That's why you have been invited to a meeting. Yes, all those people who need to ask special questions about tasks, past tasks that need correction. Above all, task 3, for some reason or other, it needed more explanation. We are going to do it today. We still have workshop 2 pending. It has taken a longer time, but I think it is for a good purpose. So I have the freedom to change this, so do not worry. And we have the project. The project will be due in July. Do not worry, but we need to keep on working for our projects. So now you're focusing on that because workshop 2, we will be finishing probably today or next class, but today we can finish today if we work well, but keep on thinking of the project, okay? And this is everything we have left. Remember, this week we don't have classes, we have a final quiz, so we really have very few weeks to work. That's why I need you all connected. Connected to the task and then connected to class, but then also connected to the task of the project. So bear in mind, you need people having the opportunity to meet outside class. You can meet with me also outside class. So we need to have that flexibility. Think of that. You know each other, you have been working with each other for a long time. Okay, so today at 12, we will meet in order to ask and answer questions about tasks 3 and 4. Anyway, there are people who still have pending, other tasks pending, yes? So you're welcome, more than welcome. So remember, check your educandos. If you don't have a grade, it's either you need to revise, correct, and resubmit, or you didn't do it. So all of these situations are wrong. We need to have everything up, thumbs up. Everything done, corrected, and graded. So at 12, we will meet in order to answer questions about these 2 tasks. Anyway, we can also comment on tasks 1 and 2 in case you need help. Genesis here, Araceli, Barbara, okay. So remember, I sent you a link and an email, but in any case, if you're welcome, just ask me about the link. I will share it by the end of the class so everybody can connect. Okay, the project. The project will have certain requirements. Today we will talk about, so we talked about the problem. Yes, and that was, we did an exercise, but if still, though we got nearer, much nearer, there were groups that still needed to do this exercise. You need to narrow down a topic and the problem and think of your research setting, yes? That's why the decision was to place this inquiry in your schools or in the classroom in a practicum situation that will be the easiest, just because it's nearer to us and we will have influence and we will have an action to do in those settings. Therefore, we will talk today about background information and we will talk about research questions and a little bit about hypotheses as well. Remember that the basic literature review we will keep on doing and we will complete workshop 2 on the basis of this, because remember, when we were at the point of doing workshop 2, we still didn't have this problem, this topic narrowed down. So that is why we have more elements now that we have thought about this situation that we want to investigate, and we will be able to complete workshop 2. And then the rest of the classes will be just polishing and going around this work. It's a work in progress along this month until we get to present it on the 1st of July. So everything you can do to improve it, to polish it, to rewrite it, to improve it in any way is the best you can do to have this result by the end of the semester with which you can continue working. Remember, the more effort you put, the better it is for your work in future semesters. So that's my recommendation. Of course, life happens, and sometimes we change our projects, our ideas abruptly and radically. That's not a problem. But for now, let us think we have something important to research that will keep with that we can develop a long time and save time and effort for later. That'll be the ideal situation. Of course, life is not ideal. We know that. But at least we have had the exercise of thinking of the problem, the research questions, and looking for the information. Okay, any questions so far in regards regarding the project?
Yes.
Yes.
We will work in the project in class, in synchronous class.
Yes,
Okay.
much as I can, yes. The better would be that we work synchronically in order for me to help you. Then when time is up, you might need to continue working on your own with your groups, with your pair. I might need to meet you again to solve problems, questions. But let us try to work in class as much as possible. This is the time we have for the module. So let us take advantage of it. Yes, as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Recommendation. My sincere recommendation is that you come to class ready to work. We divide in groups and you start working. Yes, and I can comment with you, help you with questions. Marilyn is here. I saw her. Yes, Marilyn. Yeah. So my sincere recommendation is come to class ready to work and we can make lots of progress. Okay. So this is the situation. Have some tea, have something to drink, eat, cake, something sweet. Remember, we need to keep awake. We need to keep awake. Yes, research needs awakened people. Okay. Come on, researchers. We can do a lot. And we can go to conference in the following semester, but we need to work hard. And you can do it. I'm sure we can do it. So last class was very important, I think, because, well, it implies group work. Many of these tasks imply group work. just because we were able to think of sub-areas to focus the problem of our research. And we did an exercise together. Yes, for example, just taking a big subject area and breaking it down into sub-areas so as to find a narrower niche in which we could develop our investigation. So both authors, Kumar and Walliman, suggest this process of narrowing down a topic, a big research area. For example, domestic violence, and we did one with education, in the area of education. And we have different aspects here. Yeah? So Walliman goes into the aspects we are going to see today. And I told you to think all of the aspects that we could divide, that we could subdivide our bigger research problem. I don't have it. Those are your topics. Those are your topics. But if you wait for me a second, we can revise our example from last week, which I think was very good. It was about the use of ticks. Remember, a favorite. We said a favorite area of research applied to different situations, school situations observed in classes. So, so that is a topic that's very much in vogue, we can say, and you have a lot to say about it. And so our example was the following. So we did this together, yes? And you know that in teaching, there is a method called I do, yes, we do. Yes, first of all, the teacher does something, old methodology. Then we do all together. And then you do alone. So the objective is that you in your groups are able to do this on your own. Yes, future researchers, come on, you can do this. It's not very difficult. I know we don't have so much time either. And we need a process of thinking, but this is not impossible, not impossible. Okay, so this is last week's. Okay. So remember, we did this valuable exercise. I am copying this exercise for you to remember. We went from a very big uso pedagógico de TICs, very big topic. We took it from the topics dealt with in a Congress in Santiago, 2019, about education, and we saw the different areas of research in education. But we chose this one just because it's very near to us, as I said, very pervasive. Yes, it permeates into education very well just because of the times we're living, but also because it's inevitable how technology is involved in our everyday life, in our everyday lives. And we know that Kumar said that we might be always researching about an area, starting with a P. We research a problem, we might research people, we might research a phenomenon and a program, but we are not at the level of researching programs yet, just because it requires further study. But we can research a phenomenon, and the pedagogical use of ICT, the technology in general, is a very in vogue topic. It's today very present in our everyday lives. And we started searching for the sub areas. So we thought about efectividad en la escolaridad básica, en la escolaridad inicial, en el aprendizaje de la lectura. Very good. We tried to narrow it down a lot. Luego el impacto del uso de las TICs, las herramientas. This might be a little bit big, but still we can continue narrowing down. Las posibilidades de conectividad, las actitudes de los profesores y de estudiantes. always looking at different areas that in which we can subdivide a topic. Remember, there is an area that is human, there is an area that has to do with impact, with different variables working with another, results, or effectiveness. And we will see now, because Walliman goes into a certain categorization of areas or of sub-areas. Luego, estereotipos, uso de redes sociales, alfabetización de los docentes. So I think we covered different areas, sub-areas within the big and wide topic of del uso pedagógico de TICs. So do you remember all of this? This is revision.
Yes.
Yes, so we did together. Now it's your group. Yes, so now it's you do. You do means now is my group. We take a topic of interest, the topic that we have seen is researched in congresses, presented in congresses, or something we have seen, or something that interests us, or we have read an article about, and do this exercise. We need to get to a narrow topic that is doable, yes, and has a population, moreover, and a future population, yes, and a future setting. So that's why we need to think of our settings. Otherwise, we will never be able to narrow down. And remember, you are involved with teachers in escolaridad básica and escolaridad inicial. You have talked to educadoras de párvulos, teachers of English in elementary school. So you have worked with these people also. So they can be our sources of information. And in practicum, with my students in practicum, we have also devised questions in order to get information about the institutional guidelines. Something very important that we shouldn't disregard whenever we are working in institutions. Yeah, so that is another source. Remember, our institutions, the institutions we are working with have guidelines, have a mission and vision, have a PEI, Proyecto Educativo Institucional, Integral, or whatever they call it. But we need to think of all those situations, or all those areas, just to be able to find what we saw also last class, that is the scope, ¿sí? El alcance, ¿cuál es el alcance en el que pongo mi problema de investigación? Okay, so we will be pointing out, pinpointing between the two languages. Remember that this will be written in Spanish, the project. However, we will continue reading in English. So we are stepping into Spanish a little bit, but we will continue reading in English. Okay, so that a little bit more work, but it will be worthwhile. Okay, the groups, after doing this exercise, groups were able to get to this point, which is okay. Yes, okay. Now, each group has to own this. ¿Sí? Ahora nos tenemos que hacer cargo de esto que dijimos. And continue narrowing down. Yes, it's still too broad. This is too broad as well. So we need to probably narrow this down. This is something that can be done probably in a national project por Fondesit, ¿sí? El Fondo de Investigación en Ciencia y Técnica. So it's something you cannot do, just beginning at this point. But it's a good, so let us keep on narrowing down. What kind of impact are you looking for? In which institution that is within your reach? You cannot reach all the schools in the country, for example, or in the region. I am not talking, it's nothing personal, okay? It's nothing personal, but today, these big areas need to be narrowed down, yes? Remember that we need a scope, something we also mentioned last class, a scope, so un alcance dentro de lo que es investigable, de lo que es mi alcance. Okay, so for example, we said for example, tips in learning to read in school, in the basic schools in Longaví area, just because our students are working with those students. For example, we need to narrow down, to give it a scope, un alcance claro. Okay, here we talked about rural schools, so we still can narrow that more, rural schools in the Longaví area, yes, which is narrower still than if we say Maule region, which is still very big. Here also gender stereotypes in games for children, affect children, we still need to narrow down, yes. Small children, children in early childhood between 3 and 4-year-olds, we still need to narrow a little bit down. Okay, so everyone, todo el mundo acá presente, un representante de cada grupo dijo esto, nos hacemos cargo y seguimos trabajando sobre ese tema o volvemos a hacer todo el ejercicio con otro tema. Pero esto tiene que quedar resuelto para que podamos seguir, terminar el workshop 2. ¿Está clear? Y podamos agregar el otro elemento que necesitamos de la clase de hoy al proyecto. ¿Estamos claros? ¿Is that clear? Okay, ideally, we will keep on working on the same topic, as we said. And then we have workshop 2 pending. This research of articles, which is very important. We will come back to the end, towards the end, and after the groups have had time to go through all of these topics and problems again. So today we will focus one of the foci. Yes, focus is Latin singular, foci is Latin plural, los focos. One of these foci is to recognize elements in educational context. Remember, we are not working in the whole country, in the whole region, in the vacuum, just the theoretical idea or topic. No, that's not within our scope. We are focusing on its educational contexts. And therefore, we need to brainstorm what background information have you gathered from schools already in different instruments from the practicum or the classrooms, or if you have been working just with one professional. And what would you like to find out about the school setting that contributes to this idea of topic or problem that we need to research? So this is really important for you to focus on. Of course, we have lots of data from schools. I'm not sure whether lots of data, but we have facts, where they are, how many students they have, the population they serve. So this is a well-known information from institutions and schools. So we all know the mission and vision of these institutions, schools, classrooms, okay, all institutions in general. I am not sure whether students from the early childhood program work in schools exactly, or they are institutions that teach little children, or at the initial level, at the pre-K. How are these institutions for you? Girls? Sofia, Carolina?
My school for the practice is in a rural area.
But they are schools. They are schools,
Yes.
institutions dedicated to teaching. Okay.
And I have 9
Mhm.
children.
9 children. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, and that's it. We only send videos, so
Mhm.
don't have a communication with the children.
Okay, that's true. Okay, but the information in general, the information that you have in general is about mission or school or institutional guidelines. This is something.
Yes,
¿Cuáles son los lineamientos de la institución? Yes.
it's our center of practicum. We have not. No, they have not mission of stipulate in their website, and our teacher don't send us the PIE. I don't know.
The
Oh,
vision and mission, you mean?
yes, we have not idea about their
Okay, but they
aspect.
have guidelines.
Mhm.
We have we have institutional
I
guidelines.
can
Remember, we
I
talked in practical. Yeah.
I can give you a aspect that I think, but I don't know if are true. And maybe as the school is dedicated um to develop, no develop, but nivelar to
Level up.
person, yes, to level up to a person that have no the opportunity for end their careers because they have um, um, level up for adults and
Yes. So it's an institution that levels up, yes, adults to finish the
l-
school.
yes, level up to person in the rural area in a specific Longaví.
Yes,
I don't know, maybe.
maybe. Yeah, but that is, those are important guidelines because they are important background to understand our schools. So they are the religious institutions, secular institutions. They have a mission of leveling up different populations in the area. Or one of the school teachers I was talking to this week told me this is una escuela multigrado. And so we have such and such amount of students. And so all of those are institutional guidelines. Yes, cómo se maneja esta escuela, sus lineamientos. And every institution has these guidelines. Yes, they serve this kind of disadvantaged population, or they are multigrado. I think in the United States they were called one-room schools. I do not know whether you know or remember, but there was a series when I was a little kid based on the life of Laura Ingalls. Have you ever heard of her? So Laura Ingalls was a
Yeah.
teacher. Yes, so esa es la escuela multigrado del campo de los Estados Unidos en el siglo XVIII, XIX, cuando era one room schools, se llamaban así, una sola clase con todos los niños del pueblo, de las cercanías dentro de esa clase. Okay, so that exists, those schools have existed for a long time, of course. But that was the idea we grew up having of these kids that couldn't have a grade for their own, couldn't have first grade, second grade, third grade. No, there was only one school, one room, and that was it. That was school. And Laura Ingalls wrote wonderful memories about her times as a teacher there, and it's a good insight into what was this escuela multigrado like in the old times. I'm sure here also teachers, renowned teachers as Gabriela Mistral also have these memories of these schools. And of course, schools have their institutional guidelines, not only because of this fact that they have a few students and they have to have them all together in 1 or 2 rooms, but also they have certain objectives, expectations to accomplish. But these facts we can get easily. So again, and my students in practicum know they have this interview pending, is to find more information about the school and the guidelines, and something we already know: amount of students, social economical aspects, status, says is social economical status of the students. So all of those facts are easy to get, but sometimes we would like to know more about the school setting so that it helps us in our investigation. And that is what you have to think of here, depending on your problem, yes? So students, so all of these are facts that you can get quickly, but there are other questions that you still can ask your mentor teachers in order to get this other information that can be helpful to your project. Okay, so for example, in the case of one problem that we talked about, it could be the use of pedagogical use of TICs, because we talked here, yes. So one of the applications, one of the areas in which TICs and games can be used is when we with children in games that children play during their early childhood, right? And they face their different situations, gender stereotypes, violence, and different kinds of according to the games, they develop different areas, yes? And we can pay attention to many of them. This group has decided on gender stereotype. Here we are implying that they affect children. Okay, that's probably we are being we are predicting too much that there is a kind of effect. Yes, it's a possibility according to how you stand. Remember how you see reality. Okay, when we saw these decisions from the philosophical point of view, remember we have different stances. Yes, we have different ways to see in reality. So in this case, these students see that there is a cause and effect, yes, a cause and effect relationship between these stereotypes and the children that play games by means of technology. Okay. Okay, so we are these children are not alone in the world. They belong to a school setting. They are in some kind of institution, even in early childhood. They also belong to families. So if you think further and you're thinking about this technological use, the games, the school setting, how does the school setting also influence this problem? What else would you like to ask your teacher, your mentor teacher, that can help you in this project of the stereotypes? Sophia. And everyone is thinking, okay? So you will do this alone. Because this child is not alone. Yes, it's not being influenced by games because of nothing. So he's in a family, in an institution.
I think, for example, I remember when I was child, my mom only buy things pink because I am girl. So I think this part affect to the stereotypes in children.
But now we're families. How does the families' attitudes? You're working a lot with families, nearer to families, because you're working with younger children. Yes. How does present simple, working today. How do families and school stereotypes? Also schools represent the stereotypes, yes, with for children. Schools attitudes or decisions regarding gender, yes, regarding gender stereotypes, stereotypes. How do families and schools attitudes regarding stereotypes appear or are apparent appear in their curriculum or in their curriculum, their guidelines. Is there anything in the guidelines? Probably not, but probably in the decisions taken by the teachers. So you need to focus there, whether you will be talking to your mentor teacher, probably, on how do these attitudes they themselves have influence in this use of technology that is gender marked towards children, because it's the world of adults who really create these gender marks everywhere around children. So how do families and schools' attitudes regarding gender stereotypes appear, yes, in their curriculum guidelines or everyday choices or decisions? Everyday choices or decisions. And here you're talking about, yes, it's a very inductive kind of question in which you will need to probably ask all of these influences children receive from their families, from their school. And in that sense, they start building that gender stereotype in their heads. And that appears in everything they do, yes, even including the area of technology, the games they play. Yes, I remember in elementary school teaching English, we was, okay, boys against girls. And I had cards, blue and pink. Yeah, this what Sophia was saying. So I was reinforcing these stereotypes, and that was my decision. Yes. So
And
teachers influencing that for sure until you start learning, and you could make these mistakes when you're young, but then you start learning more and you see, well, okay, this was a little bit biased on my side. Yes, Sophia.
And the material, for example, the books.
Yes.
The picture of the books sometimes much boys, or a stereotype of a boy white, things like that.
Yes, racial stereotypes in books teaching English. Yes, that has been studied a lot. So which is a stereotype of people who speak English, they're white, blue-eyed. Yes, exactly. All of those are institutional decisions. So why do I decide to teach English by means of this book which has these stereotypes or not? Yes, exactly. Those are decisions of schools. And therefore they are somehow they permeate in the institutional guidelines. Yes. Or in the, as I said, in the decisions of these teachers, the decisions they make every day. On the other hand, Barbara also was mentioning some guidelines, and this institution where she's working cares a lot for the development of the population of its area, whether they are children or adults. No? So they try to level up their population in school level. and open the doors, according to what I read, to adults trying to finish their schooling. Is that true, Barbara? Así es.
Yes.
Educación para adultos. Okay, so so that's a different kind of institution. And which was, again, Barbara, your topic? So it would go around, it was the rural areas. Was this your topic, or is this Araceli? Or it is one of these? Barbara, do you remember? Which is your topic?
I reading teaching and learning municipal it's teaching and learning in municipal schools in rural areas in pandemic. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. So perfectly well. So again, so Barbara is focusing teaching and learning in municipal schools. Well, in a municipal school in the rural, in Linares rural area. Yes, so we will rewrite this, okay, in pandemic. And she's thinking of this. So special kind of populations that attend these schools, which already has the guideline of attending to the needs of disadvantaged populations or rural area populations, rural areas population. Okay, so what do you think you would like to find out? Just because we're talking about specific. So as I said, the first point is that you need this. You need this. And then you think, which question can I ask? 2, 3 questions, my mentor teacher, that helps me from the point of view of the school, of the setting, of this school setting, apart from all the facts that I can get. So the number of students, as I said here, the economical status, those cold facts, but we also need probably other questions that would help us more in our topic. So, Barbara, what would you like to ask your mentor teacher as a background information to help with this topic? It's still a problem. It's still a little bit wide, but we will rewrite from there. We still need to rewrite it. Teaching and learning of what specifically? So we need a little.
We can investigate about the second language, but maybe also we can put focus in the general areas like language, history, science.
Yeah.
But
okay. But we need to focus a little bit. Otherwise, it will be too wide.
Javi, what do you think about the second language?
Okay. So this is all of this. It's okay, Barbara.
That is great, but maybe we need to think.
Yes. Okay. So that is the point you will do now, immediately, in some minutes. So we go to a break, and you take a break, and you meet in groups to discuss this. Okay. As you see, you have to keep on thinking. Yes. Question yourselves. But in general, which question would you like to ask your mentor teacher in this sense? Teaching and learning in pandemic in a rural area and disadvantaged populations that they try to level up. Okay, they try to serve this population. So one question in which we put all of this together.
If he learn about the strategies for teach to better way or be more closer to the student independent to this moment, I don't know, this
teachers learn to work. Learn to work during the contingency.
And also maybe we can ask about the institution how be prepared for for hold to the student, no for no for por acercarse a los alumnos.
To get nearer to students. How has the institution, yes, so has the institution prepared, yes, to get nearer to that that population who is disadvantaged. The population which doesn't have all the means to connect to the internet or to solve other problems. Yes.
How they worries about the students that needs more more hold no for more apoyo, more holding
support.
No, yeah, because our student with NEE necesidades educativas especiales.
Yes, okay, but that's that we will to special education. That's another, we are talking about a disadvantaged kind of population, but not a population with special needs. Okay, so it's a disadvantaged population just on other reasons because of their lack of connection, their lack of access.
So you
education.
You suggestion to us don't touch this area, the area about NEE.
Well, it will be another area. If you would like to focus on that, you have to change all the problem.
Okay, I understand.
Yes, so that is why we need to get the scope. And once we get the scope, una vez que ya tenemos delineado ese alcance, si nos vamos, es que cambiamos todo el tema.
Okay. Maybe can be about the student that need that have problems with the language,
Yes.
Yeah, the first language when they have problems with in the things like grammarly or grammatically, I don't know. They will have problems for develop a second language. So maybe we can develop investigation or no investigation, but we can investigate about those things.
Yes, exactly. So that is what I'm saying. You need to go back to this original problem you thought last class and narrow it down. Yes, it's the teaching and learning in which area. Yes, or with which population, the population that has special needs, the population that doesn't have access to get connected to school and therefore they need more support. So you need to specify here that population. Yes, municipal schools is okay. So we will go a little bit further. You will have some time to get this discussion. When we come back, every pair or group needs to have solved, please, or narrowed down as much as possible. Please remember that, as much as possible. Then you need to have this educational, these questions for the educational context. How can the educational context, by means of your mentor teacher, help you? Help you with your topic, help you with your discussion, your problem. So here it can be disadvantaged populations, but also we need to know what kind of disadvantage do they have. Is it lack of access to technology and therefore they are like isolated, they cannot access to access classes, or they have a disadvantage because they have special needs in learning? Yes, exactly. So get nearer to their students and the different populations, yes, they want to serve. Yes, so again, this will have to do with these questions will be very much related to what do you discussed in the problem, first of all. So you have important discussions there, because now we have to get one step ahead with the development of research questions. So we had a problem, and now we will have the development of questions. And we already have a basis for this section of the task. Remember when we were asking questions to the text to understand the text we were reading? Do you remember that very short video that talked about small questions, big questions, or close-ended questions, open-ended questions? Do you remember them?
I think yes.
Yes, it was in the last task 4. And so that background is of very much help for you to develop these questions. So there's a video from the University of Cincinnati, people in the library at the University of Cincinnati explain these different kinds of questions. So I want you to watch the video with your groups and right here, which is the explanation they give about this question. Yes, the kind of questions we ask. And then the last part, one of the speakers explains the reason why the last example is the best example for of all the other examples of questions. And we will go into Walliman later and go into the steps that Walliman suggests also to have a good research question. So everything needs to be connected. That's why we said we pour water to our seed every week. Yes. So we have the seed of our project and we water. Yes, we pour water. Yes. Every day. So first of all, we need to go back. Again, you have this in last week's PPT, yes? The problem, yes? Narrow down as much as possible. Get to something near to this. We still need to rewrite. So I hope every group has found their problem. And then think of the questions you will ask, the context to help you in this problem, to help you find answers to this problem. Because we have to ask a question for the project, yes? So everything will be connected. So we will have a 5 minutes break to go to the bathroom. Yes, okay, so we'll stop here and work on this in groups. Okay, the research question. So you will watch a video, yes, and annotate your conclusions about different kinds of questions these librarians from the library, the library of the University of Cincinnati, guide us to, or guide students in general to get, and so you will find that they guide you to get to an acceptable question that will help you find out the answer to a problem or nearer to that answer to a problem, and that you can search for. Yes, so the question should allow you to search for information. And here Kumar doesn't give us much more information that just tell us to ask ourselves, what is that I want to find out in this area or this sub area that I have been working with? So for example, in the case of gender stereotypes, what do you want to know about this sub area, or the teaching of English, for example, in rural areas? What would you like to find out in this sub area? So he goes basically also with the proposal of, again, doing all the breakout into sub questions, or into as many questions as you can ask that problem. So again, it's an exercise of asking questions and thinking. Yes, now you will watch the video now in groups in a minute, and you will see how you go through different kinds of questions until you find out the correct question. And you have already, as I told you, we have already worked with questions. We have thought about close-ended questions and open-ended questions. Therefore, the problem with questions should not be such a big problem. But going to Wallyman, I found out more guidance into how we can split down a big question, yes, and find out how we can narrow down this topic a little bit more. So Wallyman proposes us different areas in which we can focus. For example, he says split down into different aspects to be investigated separately. And if you think big, the same happens with our problem. Sometimes our problem is too big, but we have areas, aspects that we can subdivide that big question, that big problem, yes? So it's the teaching and learning in pandemic. That's too big, but let us go to an aspect. Yes, teaching and learning of English by means of virtual classes. So we go to an aspect of teaching and learning. Otherwise, it is very big. So all of these subdivisions can help us find out a more specific topic, but also a good research question. Everything is connected, remember, I cannot separate, everything is connected. So what other thing can I ask in a question about different personal or group perspectives? Remember when we were talking about the example by Kumar, yes, Kumar focuses on people. So he focuses on violence, domestic violence, but he focuses not only on the problem, the aspects of the problem, but also the experiences of people. So Wallyman also agrees. So we can explore personal or group perspectives. Yes, instead of just thinking of the aspect of the concept or the problem. So we can focus on people. We can also investigate concepts. Yes, so teaching and learning, health, wealth. Well, here we have different ones. We have a teaching or learning, total physical response as a technique for teaching languages. So different concepts. We can also consider scales, yes, so go from the individual to the organization in case we focus on people's experiences. And then compare outcomes of different aspects, yes. Also, we can compare different aspects, not only one aspect or a concept, but probably a combination as well. So when asking questions, I also go through this step-by-step process that Kumar also proposes us. Go from the very big to the small one, going into different aspects. Yes, so the pedagogical use of TICs is very wide. Yes, it's big, very big. It's a Pacific Ocean. No, we need to go into aspects. So we went into aspects, yes. And the result, for example, the results of the phenomenon, yes, if it is effective, if it has an impact. Aspects like the tools. We also saw human beings' perspectives, yes, attitudes, stereotypes created by people around this topic. So the same Wallyman and Kumar are on the same track when they propose that you go into smaller sub areas of problems and also questions, so that they help you focus. Yes, you will focus on something more specific, and therefore it's more doable. In that way, it is more doable. So, for example, they give us an example with intelligence, yes, and how are school exams results accrue. This is an adaptation done by me. It's about different, we have different areas, yes, different aspects. We have school exams, we have testing, we have students, and we have intelligence. Therefore, as we saw here, we can split into different aspects. Yes. Therefore, for example, how do school exam criteria match those criteria of other intelligence tests, for example? So they are aspects into the topic of exam and intelligence. I can take an aspect. So school exams, or it can be international English exams, for example. So I can take only one aspect of the big topic of exams, yes, and or intelligence, yes. Then we can explore personal, yes, how do children develop their critical thinking in early childhood? And in that sense, I am also speaking about intelligence, about which kind of students, little children, young children in early childhood, yes. And we are thinking of how they develop this intelligence or critical thinking from the critical thinking aspect, okay. Then we have concepts. So we can analyze concepts. What constitutes intelligence? Yes. Or what is a test? What does it mean to test? That's another aspect of the big question. And remember, we always start big. That's normal. Yes. We have to go smaller, narrower. Then, and then we have different scales, or yes, for example, what sort of different, so different concepts or different scales, for example, school exams, national exams could be here also in scales, just to analyze again the topic of testing and grading or finding the level of something, yeah, if it is intelligence or learning. So all of these aspects are related, and therefore I can have many ways to go. But still, I am thinking of a problem, and I am thinking what can I ask? What question can I ask that problem? Yes, and narrow down or focus more about my investigation, because that question will guide me, yes, can guide me in a practical investigation. So I need this question asked at the level of great precision, yes, at the level of great precision, because it can guide me in this practical investigation. Otherwise, I will stay in a very broad world of theory and never get to never get to the practical section of the investigation. Okay, so questions. On the other hand, we can also have hypotheses. So we can have questions and hypotheses. Some researchers have stereotypes. The hypotheses belong more to one kind of as one research approach, whereas questions belong more to the others. But in general, some researchers also say we all researchers, so all of the researchers have some kind of hypothesis. But remember that in the strict meaning of hypothesis, as in Walliman, hypothesis is the proof of some kind of theory, yes, or some kind of truth. So the idea of the hypothesis comes from positivism and natural sciences, when researchers were trying mainly to prove a theory. Yes, if I pour water to this to the seed, it will grow. Something like that. A hypothesis we make, if those that read that chapter in Walliman know this, we make hypotheses all the time. Oh yes, I explained the questions like this or the themes going through sub themes, and therefore the result was that one. So I have to repeat that hypothesis. So if I explain the questions as also going to smaller questions or more into one aspect of the question, then it is more doable. So I follow the same hypothesis, and all the time I am looking for two things: whether my hypothesis is supported, okay, the students learned this way by doing this process, or the hypothesis is false. No, they didn't learn. So is either supported or rejected. So there are very specific kind of studies, research studies that follow this very strict understanding of hypothesis. Yes, so hypotheses need to be put to testing. Yes, so we need to be able to test the hypothesis, whether it is true or false. So they are statements. They also limit the inquiry, the same as the question. Yes, we limit the hypothesis to a specific setting, to specific variables, to specific scope, ¿sí? Tienen un alcance específico las hipótesis, ¿sí? ¿No? Tampoco sería como lo mismo que la pregunta, muy amplia. Also, they suggest methods for collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data. So this is America. The yes is British. And therefore, hypotheses help us also, guide us in the research, the same as a question. And so it's important to confirm or reject the hypothesis after following the steps, yes, by following empirical or experimental testing, and also give a clear indication, yes, of the knowledge, so that we gain this knowledge by doing this, by following these steps, and by proving that the hypothesis is supported or rejected. So for the time being, just because we are beginning at the beginning level, we will try to ask a question, yes, that is probably very broad, yes, very general, but with which we can try to get to a smaller area, yes, because the same can be done with hypotheses. They can be very wide and also be narrowed down into sub-hypotheses, into more manageable hypothesis with a scope, a setting, yes, a specific population. Okay, so just to introduce these two topics, I think hypothesis we will continue next class in case you need to use a hypothesis in your projects. Yes, nevertheless, we continue in the next module also with qualitative and quantitative methods. And we will go back to the problem or to the situation or to the topic, the big topic of questions and hypotheses. So this is an ongoing, process of knowledge is ongoing. Yes, so we will continue developing. So at this point, we're still trying to find out our problem. Yes, the problem, the sub area. Then we want to find out what do we want to discover in this sub area. Yes, so this is Kumar. And from Walliman, we have the addition that we need to find the guidance. Yes, so we need to find the guidance in the practical investigation, and for that we need to go narrow. Yes, narrow, split the question into aspects, into different themes, yes, or concepts, or aspects, or personal perspectives, because otherwise we will again be in a position of having a very big, probably very big question, or we start with very general questions that we need to narrow down. Okay, so recapitulating, we have big area of investigation and education, and from there we went to the sub areas. Yes, we did this. We went to the sub areas. We did an example of the sub areas. We are there. Yes. In order to investigate this sub area, yes, we will go through a process of lots of writing and rewriting and narrowing down. Yes, but at least we are more or less on a path, on some kind of path at different levels, but we will get to our destination. Then we need to ask other actors about this problem, yes, and find out in the institutions with which we're working some guidelines, facts as well, but more than facts, institutional guidelines on how this problem is viewed, analyzed, probably yes, probably not, or solved, or which propositions are there from the institution. Yes, and for that we will need some background information. What is done in this institution in regards my problem? And as Kumar tells us, we need to ask, still we need to find out what we need to discover within this sub area, within this problem. And so therefore, we need to ask a question. And probably what does Wallyman say? Well, this question is going to be, it's simple, but still it's going to be very wide, probably at the beginning. So it can be broken down, do not worry. It can be broken down so that we can continue with a practical investigation. So again, the process is always going into subdivisions, focusing on aspects, focusing on concepts within this big question or within the question, focusing on personal or group perspectives. We can focus on results, yes, when we talk about effectiveness, impact, focusing on the cause and effect relationship as well. Yes, does this situation cause this effect also? Okay, so it's up to you. It depends on your problem. Yes, everything depends on what are you going to study. And therefore, we go to the sub-questions. Yes, sub-questions, and I will copy this to the chat so you have access when thinking of your sub-questions. Okay, so it will be in the chat, so everyone will have the examples from Wallyman. They are in Wallyman, but I rewrote some of them. So they are rewritten, yes. So how do we go to these sub-questions? We focus on areas. We focus on certain aspect within this topic, or on the people, or on the results, or on the process. It all depends on what do I want to discover. Always thinking that we will be discovered. We will discover something new. Okay, so next task is to, in groups, to watch the video, analyze all the questions, because you will go through this process anyway. First of all, our first intuition is to ask a question that is yes, no. Yeah. Is intelligence important in talking about the topic of intelligence that Wallyman presents to us? Is intelligence a topic to be discussed in education? Yes, no. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. No. So we will go through this process. No, we cannot ask these questions. We cannot ask closed questions. How many students in my school went through an intelligence test? 3, 4, 20, 100. That's a closed question. No. Then we go to another step that is our objective, yes, ask open-ended questions, open-ended questions. So you will see that in the video, analyze it, write down the different kinds of questions. Plus, the speakers give you explanations. Yes, this first question is wrong because of this. The second question is not so good because of this. So this is important to have as well. So write down the question and the explanation they give. And finally, for the last question, they give reasons. Why is this last question a good one? So yes, you don't need a template for that. The exercise is very clear in the video. I will share the link to the video with everyone, and you will watch the video, annotate the kind of questions, So it's clear for all of us what kind of questions we might go through, and we need to always revise our questions so that our questions are correct, are accurate to my problem. And then after you do this, we will do the exercise of narrowing question. Yes, one question, like the one, the example of intelligence, we will narrow down the question. And we will do that exercise so that you continue working for next class. Is that clear?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, okay. Perfect, yes, oh, for sure. So this is nothing new. And as college students, we all have this experience. So going back to the listening, we will try to, so which is the first question that the video speaks about or gives? What's the first question? Who annotated the first question?
Miss,
yes.
The first question that we write is a kind of bad question. It says if people smoke and drink, are they likely to die young?
Yes, if people smoke and drink.
Yes, if people smoke and drink, are they likely to die young?
To die young, excellent. So this is the first question. Yes.
Sorry, but the first question is, should people stop smoking and drinking?
Yes, it is true. But it is the first question that we wrote.
You wrote. Okay, so the first question is should. Yes, it starts with should, and therefore, okay, we keep it. Griselda for next. Yes. So the first should people.
Should people stop smoking and drinking?
Yes. And why is this a bad question?
Because it only has two answers. Oh no,
yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah, a yes, no question. Yes. In English, we call them yes, no questions. Yes. When we answer yes or no. We practice a lot of yes, no questions with present simple. Do you sleep at night? Yes, I do. Do you have classes on when? Yes, we do, or no, we don't. Yeah, all of those are yes, no questions. Are they good research questions? No, of course not. We have two answers. That's it. We close the investigation. No, this is not a good research question. Okay, the second question you have there is the one that Zelda was mentioning. Is that one? The second?
Yes.
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 People smoke and drink.
Yes. Are they likely to die young?
And what's up if people, smoke and drink? And what is the smoke and drink? And what is the problem here?
According to the video, the readers already know the answer.
Yes.
You know the answer of this question.
Yeah, yes, the answer is no. So that is that a good question? No, no. The answer is already no. Yes. In the topics we were talking about, do schools use TICs nowadays? Yes. So we know the answer. No. It's also mixture. Yes, no, plus the answer is already no. Are the use of TICs important? Yes, it is. Moreover, the answer is no. It's very easy to find answer. So there is no way to conduct a research. Yes, and we need, as we said here, yes, they need to guide us in a practical investigation. So none of these questions guide us in a practical investigation. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Why do some people smoke and drink while others never do?
Why those people Yes. And what is the problem here?
I remember that here we can find a lot of answers.
Because it's very, what were we saying? It's very
Open.
It's an open question.
Yes, it's very open. It's open. It is an open question, but it is very wide. Sí, es como su alcance es muy amplio. Yes, all the people in the world. The video says all the people in the world. All the who are all these people? And remember, yes, in the questions, in the problems you had, we cannot talk about all the problems of all the children or the learning process of all the children. We need to focus. So be careful. This is another hint. Yes, we have to have a scope, un alcance en la población, en el escenario en donde lo voy a hacer, en el lugar. So I cannot go too open. Otherwise, I cannot answer. Yes, it's an open question, but very general. Yes, but very general. It's not easy to find the answer. Very general or wide. Yes, muy amplia. Ancha. Yes, so. Wide es ancho, también ancho, pero también amplio, yes, without the focus, ¿sí? Sin foco. Okay, and the last question is the correct one because of different reasons. Why? Is that so? The question with why? The last one?
Yes, Miss. Is why do some students, young people, smoke and drink while others never do?
Young people, okay, the population, okay, I am narrowing down. It's college students, students your age, or young people, children, whatever, children, 5-year-old children. So we are always trying to focus on this population. Otherwise, if it is too open, too wide, too general, I can't find an easy answer. Smoke and drink while others smoke and drink while others never do. Never do. And this is, okay, a better question. Yes, better question because of different reasons. So the librarians here give us reasons. Do you remember the reasons? Did you annotate the reasons by any chance? Hopefully I have it at hand. If I have it at hand, probably we can watch that section. It's very easy. It's very easy. It refers to why is this, well, according to your opinion, why is this question better, more focused? So do we have a population?
The letter A, according to the video, is no oversimplified. Not oversimplified, yes. It's not yes or no, yes? We don't have a question that is yes or no. Excellent. So it's not oversimplified. Yes, excellent. If I can find this section, we can go quickly. Then, so it's not oversimplified. Why? What else? Okay, here. All right. We can watch it together and get this conclusion. Okay. All right.
This question certainly does not have a yes or no answer. It's very open-ended, and it doesn't try to lead me into an answer. It's also engaging and likely relevant to a college population where many students choose to smoke, drink, or begin smoking or drinking.
Okay, she says something important. So it's not leading to an answer. Yes, we do not know the answer, but it's also relevant. So a better question does not lead to an answer. Does not lead to an answer. And it is relevant. Yes. So So relevant, important to find out some information we do not know about that problem. Yes, so we need to focus on that. So always think, I do not know the answer, and it's relevant. It's relevant to a situation, to a school situation, institution situation, a social situation that we need to
In addition, finding an answer to this question could be significant for me, myself, my classmates, etc.
Yes, and significant. Also, another, yes, it's significant. It's relevant to my problem, and it's significant. It can be significant because it helps solve a problem that we see in education, in educational setting, with children, with little children, with teachers, with authorities at schools. So it is significant. And it can be significant to you because it's your experience, because it's a problem you have observed or lived or experienced. So that is also important when we look at how to ask good questions.
I see possibilities here for investigating the nature of willpower, nature versus nurture, genetics.
But the word people is problematic. Okay. Are you talking about all?
Okay, so we are in the
question, and here's why. A, it's not oversimplified. There is no yes or no answer.
Okay, so not oversimplified. That is so we need all of the previous ones, all of the previous conditions, but we also need no oversimplification. Yes or no questions are not allowed. Yes, no oversimplification. No closed questions. Yes, where the answers are, for example, facts, numbers. No, we don't need that either.
B, I believe I can locate some evidence, social, psychological.
Okay, so you need to locate evidence. You need to find out evidence, yes? So think, whenever you're thinking of your topics, think of the evidence, yes? Evidence for teaching and learning in pandemic, evidence for gender-driven games for children, yes? Evidence can be found. It's practical. Remember, we need to conduct a practical study. Okay.
Logical, physiological. C, it's an interesting and relevant question since I am a college student.
Yes, so the relevance, the significance, yes. In general, these studies at this level are interesting for us because it's our situation, our experience, yes, significant, relevant, we already said that.
Related to our context.
Relevant, yes, exactly, to our experience, relevant, related to our context, experience, yes, something nearer to us. Yes, much easier. Yeah. Okay, we want to find the answer.
Student. And D, this question is manageable. I believe I can answer it.
Okay, manageable. Yes, that's a very good area. So the question should be manageable. I have to answer. Yes, and I have to answer the question, but manageable, if I cannot, if I need too many people, if I need to see the United Nations, for example, as a classmate of mine at the doctoral, in my doctoral courses, wanted to study a refugee population in Cambodia for a pilot study. And I said, but if you need the United Nations to help you, then it is probable that this project is not manageable. Yes, and your research question is not manageable either. So you need to focus on that. So all of the schools, public and private schools in Chile is not manageable to us. We need to manage the question, be able to find the population, the participants and the setting to carry it out. Therefore, that's why I was always repeating, it's not a theoretical pursuit. Yes, we can also do a theoretical thesis, yes, following a theoretical idea, but this is a practical pursuit. This is a practical project. So we need to be able to manage it and be able to carry it out and find out the answers. Moreover, and E is the last one.
Within the confines of my assignment. E, I might learn something new in the process of answering this question.
Yes, learning something new, important. And also the librarian talks about within the confinements, she says, or also the scope, el alcance de mi tarea. So we need to be able to manage it within the scope of our project that will finish next year with your proyecto de grado. So it needs to be manageable because you have an objective to get and you need to find the information, answer your question within limits, yes, of time and place and means. And finally, which is the last one? We can find the answers. You might learn something new, yes. So this is an important, learn something new, So it's not that we're going to, it's not that everything is already researched. Technology has been researched a lot, but there is always a new aspect. Remember what Walliman says, there is a new aspect, there is a new group of people we have not studied. There is a new application we have not studied. There is a new concept within technology that you have not studied. So there is always a possibility, even in old topics or topics that have been around for an older time, for a longer period of time, we still can find something new because we are located in a special place. So technology is not the same in a school in Santiago, in a school in Longaví, in a school on the mountains. It's not the same. So it's the same topic, general area. But then our problem is located within a scope that is new and that can give me the possibility to learn something new. Okay, as a last, so everything you need to have annotated, please, everything you have discussed in your groups. And we have here this exercise of we do, yes, the level we do means we do together. Yes, we brainstorm together and then you do, the last stage is you do in your groups, yes? Okay, so we will go back to the question, a very general question. With the topic we already discussed, uso pedagógico de las TICs. So, which can be a general question related to this general topic? Yes, it's phenomenal. It's very general, very, very general. Okay, so we have how are school exams results a true test of students' intelligence. So, we can have a general question. Okay, schools. No, vamos a hacerlo en español para que nos acerquemos más. Okay. ¿Cómo pueden los educativas aplicar tecnologías de la información en el proceso de enseñanza-aprendizaje? Okay, this is very wide, yes, muy amplio. Muy bien, ahora a esto vamos a hacer las subpreguntas de Walliman. Okay, everyone, we do together. Brainstorming. Oh my gosh, I need to. Esta es una pregunta muy general. Vamos a... Okay. Where are we going to start? Are we going to start into aspects? Una pregunta en donde esta pregunta muy general se focalice en algunos aspectos. Por ejemplo, tenemos las instituciones educativas, las tecnologías de la información, el proceso de enseñanza-aprendizaje, y los niños de escolaridad básica. Okay, es un example. Okay, aspects. Puedo focalizarme en un aspecto de esta pregunta. Si no es muy general, no la puedo contestar. No es manageable. No la puedo manejar. Okay. One idea, aspect, one aspect.
In the element,
¿Qué no podemos?
La institución educativa de escolaridad básica, tal vez.
¿Qué aspecto? Un aspecto. Estamos hablando de la enseñanza, aprendizaje, niños. Remember, ¿sí? Tenemos aspectos, tenemos conceptos, tenemos población, grupos, personal, group perspectives.
Profesora, ¿podría ser qué disponibilidad de TICs tiene el colegio? Como por ejemplo si tienen sala de computadores o tablet o cosas así.
¿Qué disponibilidad de acceso tiene? Estamos viendo un aspecto. O sea, es solamente el aspecto de la tecnología, el aspecto tecnológico estamos viendo acá. Ajá. ¿Qué disponibilidad tiene? Tiene el colegio. Bueno, aquí igualmente tendríamos que acotar. Está el colegio de Longaví o de Paso Cuñao. Este es especial lugar. A las tecnologías de la información. Acá nos estaríamos focalizando en el aspecto de acceso a la tecnología. Bien, ok, es un aspecto, one aspect, pero nos podríamos focalizar en institución, cómo se prepara, y creo que había algún grupo en la alfabetización de los profesores, también es un aspecto, en ese caso también un aspecto dentro de los grupos humanos, ¿verdad? Pero también puede ser un aspecto la preparación de la institución educativa en su nivel tecnológico, su oferta tecnológica, puede ser otro aspecto, ¿sí? Los aspectos pueden ser varios, ok. Siguiendo Wallyman. Una pregunta sobre personal, different personal o group perspective. Ahí creo que Génesis está dentro de esta pregunta.
¿Como profesora?
La perspectiva desde un grupo. ¿Cómo podríamos acotar esta pregunta dirigiéndonos a un grupo o a actores personales sobre el uso pedagógico de las TICs? ¿Cómo era la pregunta que ustedes tenían? El problema giraba en torno de...
Nuestra pregunta era cómo preparaban a los profesores mayores, en edad, por así decirlo, para utilizar las TICs.
Claro, exacto. Este es otro aspecto sobre el uso pedagógico de las TIC, ¿sí? Es uno de los grupos que experimenta este fenómeno del uso de las TIC. Luego están los niños, ¿verdad? Y podemos ampliar a otros actores dentro de la escuela. Toda la administración de la escuela también se enfrenta al uso de la tecnología. Luego los padres también, ¿verdad? Hay distintos grupos humanos que están atravesados por este fenómeno. Y yo lo puedo ver desde ese punto de vista, desde lo humano. Los profesores, podríamos decir de más antigüedad. Entendiendo, son los profesores que no son nativos digitales, quienes no tuvieron ninguna preparación en tecnología, ¿sí? En mi época, nosotros no nos enseñaban sobre tecnología. como ustedes sí aprenden en las facultades desde el primer año sobre el uso pedagógico de las TICs. Para nada. Nosotros no teníamos ese aspecto dentro de nuestra educación. Los profesores más antigüedad en el uso pedagógico de las TICs. Bien. El colegio, ¿verdad? Estamos situando el colegio. Nos vamos dando cuenta entonces cómo vamos focalizando la pregunta. ¿Todo el grupo?
Sí.
Bien,
sí, profe.
Todo es un proceso de ir dando vueltas sobre el mismo tema, ¿verdad? Como un reeling dentro del mismo tema, lo vamos pasando varias veces hasta encontrar primero el problema acotado y luego la pregunta que me va a llevar a buscar respuestas sobre ese problema. Bien, ahí tenemos un aspecto humano. Y luego nos quedaba, si queríamos investigar acerca de algún concepto. También puede existir preguntas como cómo se conceptualiza, el uso pedagógico de las TICs en la escuela básica. ¿Qué significa específicamente? Todavía estamos amplios, pero para que ustedes tengan una idea cómo usa la escolaridad básica en general, la escolaridad básica en las escuelas particulares que yo estoy estudiando, las TIC, porque también puede haber distinta aplicación a ese uso pedagógico, esa terminología, esa conceptualización general, también puede haber una forma de conceptualizarlo particularmente. Entonces, también podría dirigirme hacia eso. Estamos dentro de un mismo tema, quizá un problema muy general, pero cada una de estas preguntas, como bien nos dice Walliman, nos va guiando a una investigación práctica que sigue distintos caminos. ¿Verdad? Me focalizo en distintos aspectos, en lo más general, ¿verdad? Dentro de esa gran temática. El ejemplo que él nos da de la inteligencia y de los tests, pero puede ser uso pedagógico de las TIC, la enseñanza, el aprendizaje de lenguas, la aplicación de Total Physical Response con niños pequeños, con discapacidad. En todos los casos, yo puedo siempre seguir un camino u otro, porque como nos dice Kumar, what is it that I want to find out? ¿Qué quiero aprender de esto que puede ser muy amplio, de este problema, o con esta pregunta que puede ser muy amplia, pero necesito focalizarme? Este es mi camino. Yes, I can follow a practical investigation. Okay, so we stop with hypothesis for the time being. Yes, it's a lot of information you have to process. So in our agreements, so all the tasks that are behind, yes, so workshop 2, we will finish next class when we have already our topics and our problems worked, yes, I don't know, processed. Tenemos como que pasarlo por la procesadora a nuestros problemas, nuestras preguntas, seguirlo pasando por esta procesadora para que sigamos encontrando ese camino. Okay, so what you're going to do is in groups. Yes, in case you don't have a research problem, please follow the steps. Yes, so in groups. Yes, in groups. What are you going to do? Please, first, follow the steps. The steps to focus on a problem. On a problem. Remember, on a sub area of a big topic, yes? Sub-area. Yeah, ahí tenemos sub-area dentro, within a topic, that within a theme. Y ahí tenemos la ayuda de Kumar. Recuerden, seguimos los pasos de Kumar uno por uno la clase pasada. So, go back and check the steps by Kumar. Kumar es claro en eso. Nos da también todas las áreas, todas las distintas posibilidades que nos explica hoy también Walliman. So, tenemos los dos para seguir. Bueno, entonces tenemos el problema. Find out, focus on questions to ask your institution, institution representatives, yes. Representatives, it can be people in the principal or jefe de UTP or your mentor teacher. So all of them can be of help when you have to ask them about background information to help you solve the problem. Yes, find the solution for the problem. Or ask your school institution representatives about background information on that problem.
Miss?
Yes.
And yes, what we should do with the with the things that we are creating, like the questions.
You write everything in the document. I showed at the beginning. I uploaded last week la portada del proyecto. Agregan hojas a esa portada y van escribiendo ahí. Van escribiendo como un running document, ¿sí? Lo tienen siempre ahí como running document. Eso significa que yo siempre estoy escribiendo, reescribiendo esa tarea, ¿sí? Para que no hagamos más tareas por separado. No, ya es parte del proyecto, pero lo vamos revisando ahí. Yo revisaré y daré feedback e irán corrigiendo ahí sobre ese mismo documento. Entonces, focus on questions and sub-questions to find the answer to your problem. What do you want to know about this area, this problematic area? Okay, so okay. All right, so all of this is your responsibility. So we start from there. Next class, we discuss if you, in any case, any of the groups want to focus on hypothesis. If you have a theory to prove that you would like to prove or find answers about, is acceptable, but you need to already decide on this if you're going to work with a hypothesis or a question. Okay, and let us please all be connected. We really need to work hard. Remember, we have a deadline in July. So first of all, I thank you for coming and following the class. It's important that we are on the same page. We don't get behind. And if you have questions and answers, well, we can all focus so we finish, so I don't take you more of your time. Something important we learned today, and if we have a question, we write it down here as well. Oops, all right, yes. We learned, what did we learn?
About open and ended questions.
How
Yes, open-ended
how
question.
find the better way to make a question?
Yes, to find a better way to ask good questions. To find, yes, a better way to ask questions. So we all connect next class to work with our groups. Yes, and I will go group by group, checking what you have, how you have progressed. So bring the previous steps finished to the best of your ability. Yes. So the problem. Okay, so we will all be at different levels, but I can work individually with groups, give you feedback. Yes, but I need you to have these previous steps finished. Sí, los pasos previos tienen que estar terminados para avanzar. No nos queda mucho tiempo. Entonces, los temas para focalizar el problema en la subárea ya tiene que estar para que yo tenga mi subárea. Luego las preguntas para hacer a la institución sobre ese problema y las preguntas para guiar mi proyecto. ¿Sí? The research question. Okay, so please, as much as you can, and we work in groups. Yes, this is the point, the meeting point with our groups. So I hope to see you all. Pasen esta información a los chicos que no están. Necesitamos todo el mundo conectado, trabajando con su grupo la semana que viene. Y finalizaremos ahí el workshop 2. Okay, are we clear, everyone? Yes or no? Do you have any more questions?
Miss.
Okay.
No, Miss.